everyone. I'm here for you once again this month, and this time we'll be talking about practical meditation, a way of life. So I'll wait about I think it's time to get started anyway. But I would really greatly appreciate it if you can tell me that you can hear me, because this way I can continue on and know that you're there with me along the way. So let me know if you can hear me and that we're all good, and I will continue going with today's topic, okay? So I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Very, very cool. And today's topic is one of those topics that for me is really, really important, especially because, and please, again, let me know if you can hear me, all right? Just put, yes, I can hear you, and that'd be really, really great, all right? I really appreciate it. All right. It's always, first of all, really great to be able to hang out with you. I look forward to this hangout every month. You know, we try to do this at least once a month, and sometimes even more than that. So I'm just very honored that you're here, that you're making time to hang out with me, and I really do appreciate it. And I think, really today's topic is one of those topics that's really important and very dear to me, because it's one of the things that I discovered for myself many, many years ago had to be done in order for me to create a lifestyle that would work for me. And that was, of course, being able to utilize the Silva tools and techniques in a way that was very practical and didn't take a lot of my time or energy, or felt like it was burdensome or a lot of work or anything like that. And especially when I was first wanting to make this way of thinking, believing, and behaving a real way of life, it was very, very important for me, especially in the beginning, being that I was maybe not as disciplined as I am today. Obviously, age makes a big difference. And I really needed to have something that I could do easily, quickly, and was effective. And so I started to study the Silva methodology very intently. My father and I were very, very close, and we traveled together for over 20 years, 25 years. I was his traveling companion, and I would help him with seminars, and I would help him to deliver the live seminars. And we had very long and very deep conversations about the methodology itself, the concepts, why they came together, how come they were structured the way they were structured, what was the main goal as far as his vision was for the Silva practitioners, what was the main goal? And really his main goal was to make what he brought to the world, to make those tools, those concepts, and those techniques just a natural way of being, of thinking, of believing, of behaving, to the point that it became very second nature to you, and it wasn't something you had to think about. That I think the one thing that didn't get accomplished time, but he was moving in that direction all the time, was that there needed to be a new way of defining the distinctions or the differences between dynamic meditation, which is what he brought to the world, and also a passive meditation. I think still today, so many people, when they think of meditation, are still thinking of the passive type of meditation that's been around forever. And passive meditation is very, very good. We all know it. I always talk about it. And while you're going through your training in Silva, you experience passive meditation as well. It's really good, but it's passive. There you really are meditating. You are just going deep, deep within, and it's more associated to your theta frequencies of brain. So you go really deep within, and you contemplate, or you meditate in that inner experience. You see what comes to you, ideas. Maybe you're able to have visions or dreams that can be insightful. And maybe you just are there just to get away from everything in your outer world. And all of that is fair and legit. And what my father saw was that for him, that wasn't enough. He was always looking out to solving problems, to making life better. And he really always believed that in order to make your life better, you needed to be fully engaged in the process. and that he really also believed that we were here as co-creators. We were given, we were born with the natural ability to create ideas, to create solutions, to create a better life, to create joy, to create health, everything. So as creators or co-creators, then we were equipped with the innate ability to make it happen, to make it possible, but we weren't taught how to use that ability. So he really felt that with the Silva method tools and techniques, you were given that the way, the lessons, the instructions as to how to tap your inner human potential, unleash your power, and really create the life of your design. So the distinction that needed to be made was that between passive meditation and dynamic meditation, which was huge. In passive meditation, you have a passive mind. You're not engaged in the thought process, and you are functioning predominantly at theta frequencies. But in dynamic meditation, again, what he brought to the world back in the 60s, but started his research in the 40s, what he brought to the world was a way of being fully engaged in the process to solve problems, to achieve your goals, to better your life, to be able to improve any challenge you might be experiencing, and really live the life of your design. So big distinction right there. One, dynamic meditation engages all of your mental faculties. We need to remember that the mind, as my father utilizes the concept of mind in Silva, is that it is a focusing faculty of your intelligence. Like the focusing faculty of the eye to see far and then really near, and far and near, that ability to move through, let's say, dimensions, through time or through space, that focusing faculty is what mind allows your intelligence to do. And mind has sub-faculties, which are seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, and smelling. So the mental senses are those senses that have no barriers of time or space, and can therefore access information of all kinds, past, present, and future, whether it be in the microcosm or macrocosm. I know I've said this many times over and over again, but I think we need to be reminded that you're a powerful being. You have access to all information. Your main goal is to learn how you perceive information and then discern that information to give it meaning, to give it application in problem solving or decision making and bettering your life. Now, when it comes to those distinctions, they're great. They're huge, because with dynamic meditation, you're going to be fully involved and in control of the creative process. You're going to then truly be empowered with tools to create the life that you've always dreamed of, and then live out that life. But we need to be able to apply these tools in a very practical way. That's the thing I think that people get confused with sometimes, because they think of meditation as passive, or the type of passive meditation like transcendental and so on and so forth, which takes maybe a long time to learn, and it takes time to practice. If you're going to get into a deep passive mode of meditating, then you're going to go deep within. It might take you upwards of 30 minutes to really enjoy that wonderful inner state that passive meditation allows you to enjoy. But dynamic meditation, it's not like that. Dynamic meditation mostly engages you in mental exercises. I really feel that passive mode of meditation, you use meditations and contemplation, but in dynamic meditation, it's more of mental exercises, strategies, processes, procedures that you're going to engage in to get to an outcome. A formula type technique is a strategy. It's a process, a procedure. Now, I'm saying all this just to really make a clear distinction as to what is the difference between one and the other, and why you can apply dynamic meditation in a very practical way. Practical meditation and make it really a very easy way of living, a lifestyle, if you will. And that's really what we want to look at. How do we establish, or how do we transform this knowledge that you have into practical application to be utilized as you need it? Because that's what we want to do. What's the sense of having information if you can't apply it as you need it? So as I started saying earlier, I started to study the structure what I learned from my father as to why the techniques were formatted the way they were, the higher structure of all this information, and what his goal was basically for you to be able to practice these tools and techniques as you needed them. He guided you through a training. The Silva method guides you through a training that does incorporate deep meditation, but only to establish programs and to establish those lessons that you learn in the formula type techniques and additional embedded lessons that are in the techniques themselves that we'll talk about. But to be able to program and rewire your subconscious, that's what the training does. That's when you take the Silva Life system, whether it's an audio program or a live seminar. The Silva Life system training allows you to go into those very deep inner levels and really slow frequencies of brain, where sometimes you even feel like you lose awareness, and embed your subconscious or program your subconscious with new information and new programs that will then result in a rewiring of your subconscious, and you are able then to think, believe, and behave in ways that are more resourceful and productive. But once you have gone through the training, the information is already there. You don't need to go that deep unless you just simply want to enjoy passive meditation. You don't need to go that deep into your inner state, because remember that dynamic meditation, when you activate your mind and you have an active, dynamic, engaged mind and intelligence, that frequency associated to that way of functioning and that mental state is alpha. You cannot have an active mind at theta. That's why it's called passive. At theta frequencies, although you might hear, theta meditations and theta programming, if you're engaged in the process and you're utilizing an active intellect or mind, and you're utilizing imagery, that's not theta. Okay, let's just be real clear about that. That's alpha. So alpha is a light, wakeful state that allows you to be fully engaged in the internal experience, fully engaged and alert. If I simply close my eyes and I recall that inner state that I enjoy so much, my calm mind, my relaxed body, and that mental state that I know leads to positive outcomes, and I simply recall it, I recall those points of reference, I can go back into that same alpha state to be just as effective again. I just did it. Okay, so I just went into alpha, and I just recalled my calm mind, my relaxed body, and that mental state that has led to so many successes in my personal experience. By doing that, you can tune in to the alpha experience. The only thing you need now is, what's the purpose? We're talking about problem solving. So every time you're doing some kind of problem solving or some kind of betterment in your immediate physical environment, you have a project or you have a purpose, let's say. So if my purpose is, I need to make a decision, I'm not sure whether I should call this person or call that person, who's going to be the better person to call first for this to be resolved the fastest way possible, and I'm really not sure, then at that very point, I'll close my eyes, just the way I'm doing now. I'll take a deep breath, and I'll pose the question. I'm not sure, should I call John or should I call Jeff? I'm not sure which person to call, because I've got this particular challenge, and I might just state the challenge, and one of them can give me the information right away. And then I just clear my mind or just open myself up to what comes to me. And then I'll just open my eyes, maybe I'll blink, refocus, and then get to action, follow through. Now, again, I just did it again. Now, how long did it take me to achieve that? It couldn't have taken more than 10 seconds altogether, maybe 20, maybe 30, but we all have 10, 20, or 30 seconds throughout the day, many times throughout the day. Now, I often, depending on where I'm at, because I don't have an issue closing my eyes anywhere. I don't care. But if you do, sometimes I would even just defocus my vision, just kind of like gaze out and then picture and just think about what's the challenge I have right now. Gee, I really have this particular problem. I need information as to how to solve this particular problem. And as I'm picturing my problem, as I'm visualizing it, I say, what would be the outcome, the best strategy to get there? And I breathe and I open myself up to thoughts that may come to my mind. Okay, yeah, great. And I'll blink and then I take action. But the other part about perceiving or sensing or being open to information and getting it is that you need to follow through. I know sometimes it's easier said than done because we're sometimes afraid to take that action. What if I'm wrong? What if I what if I mess it up? What if it comes out worse? Well, you know what? You're not going to find out until you're courageous enough to follow through. Begin to trust your inner guidance, because if you don't trust your inner guidance, you don't follow through, then what's the point in even learning all these tools? That's part of your own personal training and your own personal evolution after you've taken the Silva program. That's part of what you're going to be able to continue to evolve through time. But you need to do that. Now guys, if you have any questions along the way, I know because they're kind of like, big topics that we're talking about here. But I also want you to be really clear and confident with what we're talking about today. Okay, so just ask me, just write down your comment or your question in the comment space, and I'll be looking at it often enough so that I can go ahead and answer any kind of concern, doubt, confusion that you might be having, okay? So making the distinction between dynamic meditation and passive meditation is really, really important, because what you do in Silva, in your training, involves to some degree some passive meditation, okay? But what you do when you get into the formula type techniques and you're told to go home and practice and execute that's strictly going to be dynamic meditation, because you're engaging your intellect, your mind, and your mental senses as you utilize visualization and or imagination. Now, the new definition that we need to pretty much focus on is that dynamic meditation utilizes mental exercises, and those mental exercises can be practiced or in a matter of seconds or as long as you want. So anytime you internalize your focus with a purpose in mind, that is dynamic meditation. So anytime you internalize your focus, whether you're doing it with your eyes open, but concentrating on the images that you're creating on your mental screen, and or you do it with your eyes closed and you're concentrating on the images, the thought process, the purpose you have in mind, anytime you do that, that is dynamic meditation at its highest, okay? At its highest, because you can apply it as you need, anytime you need, and that's going to be the real important part of what you need to get going, okay? So when you're working with this new definition, it makes it so practical. I mean, you can literally use the Silva method on the go. Now, when we say open yourself up or clear your mind, those are two different experiences. When we say open yourself up to ideas, thoughts, possibilities, solutions, whatever it might be, it means that after you pose the question or you present the purpose, I need to solve this problem, and you state the problem, I'm not quite sure what to do. So I need to just see what is the best route to take. Or you might want to ask that great framed question, if I knew what to do, what would it be? If I knew who to call, who would I call? If I knew what action to take, what action would that be? And then just leave yourself open to see what first comes to mind. Anytime you pose a question like that, it demands a response. And the response is going to come from or the universe at large, or from your inner, your ability to tap information, or from your stored information, or from your genetic code. I mean, who knows? And then who cares? The idea is that the point is you will get the information. So if I close my eyes, I say, gosh, I've got this problem, and this is the problem I'm having. What do I need to do to solve the problem I have in mind? And then just open yourself, okay? See what first comes to mind. And or in some cases, it's better to just like separate yourself, disengage from that by maybe looking out the window, looking at the pretty day, maybe some plants, or looking at a painting. And then once you look at a painting, then come back to see what first pops into your mind. So you disassociate by thinking of something else, and then come back, open mind, and see what comes in. First impressions are usually those that are going to give you the information that you want. Again, you must follow through. It's in the following through that you're going to be able to clear up mixed signals as you continue to practice this approach. And by the time you know it, you're going to be in flow, and in faster time than you can realize or you can imagine. You're going to be in flow, and you're going to know exactly the right feeling that's coming with right information to make right decisions or to solve problems as you need to do that. I can't imagine what would be even greater than that. The more you practice this, the more in tune you're going to be to like all information, the more you're going to be practicing with what we call the Telomeric Concept, which is perceiving information with your physical senses and perceiving information with your mental senses. One has barriers of time and space and relies on stored information that you've already experienced and impressed on brain cells. And the other one, the working with your mental senses, can access information of all kinds, whether it be stored, whether it's stored in somebody else's brain, whether it's stored in the walls because it's been impressed with information, whether it's stored out in the universe. It doesn't matter. Whether it's recent, whether it's eons ago, or it's in the future. So you have access to all information. So there's absolutely no reason why you cannot then solve all of your problems or sense information to help you make all the great decisions that you need to make. It's really that simple in that way. But this is how you make it a lifestyle through time. Now, it's really important that we make it a lifestyle because it's going to make a difference on how much you enjoy your life, how much you're going to be able to really make the most of your life and your living experience. So what you need to do is first deepen to establish those points of reference. And that's what you learn to do in your training and or whenever you practice a deeper type of meditation. So anytime you really are going to meditate just to fully enjoy the experience of deep meditation, just pause for a few moments and notice, this is what a relaxed body feels like. As you breathe deeply, slowly, and rhythmically, just mark it. That's a point of reference. Your muscles are relaxed. Your breathing is deep and rhythmic and slow. You have a very comfortable and very healthy inner state. Mark that. Then you say, and when you get to relax in your mind by going to an ideal place of relaxation or thinking of a tranquil and passive scene, and you're in that very tranquil scene that leads to a very relaxed mind, just pause. Acknowledge it. Mark it. Say, wow, this is how great a relaxed mind feels. And you make a point of reference. That point of reference with your relaxed mind and then the other with your relaxed body, you can access anytime, especially when you're feeling stressed, when things get a little chaotic, when you kind of loosen your temper, when you feel like you're like having to meet a deadline and you're rushing around and you're not thinking clearly, then just take 5-10 seconds just to close your eyes, recall those 2 points of reference and get yourself back in flow and turn chaos into flow. And then when you have a success of any kind, when you apply your formula type technique, and then you have the results and you have a successful result, then you want to just mark it. Say, gee, when I use my mind in this way, there was a very specific, unique sensation or experience, inner experience attached to that. There was a certain inner mental state attached to that. And when you mark and acknowledge that mental state, in other words, you create a point of reference for that, then you can create that mental state that leads to positive outcomes anytime you need or want to. And when you do that, it's going to make a huge difference for you, because you're going to be able to then access that mental state so that you can solve more problems or reach more of your outcomes. My father used to always say that it's the mental state that is more important than brain frequency. But it takes brain frequency in the beginning to be able to access that mental state. But once you access that mental state, then, and you mark it, you make a point of reference, then you can bypass the brain frequency and go straight to the mental state. Remember that brain frequency is physical. It requires the organ, the brain organ itself, which is the physical organ, to function in a certain way to slow down the brain frequencies into alpha and or theta, to be able to have a state of mind that can lead to positive outcomes, or that unique state of mind associated to that brain frequency or frequencies. But once you tap into that state of mind, and you have repeated successes with the techniques that you're utilizing, then that state of mind, which is very unique inner state, can be accessed regardless of frequency. Okay? Because state of mind is subjective and brain frequency is objective. So you can bypass frequency and go straight to the subjective state of mind once you have established a point of reference. Okay? Hope that's clear to you, because that's why your training, like the Silva Life system, is important, because with your training, you're able to access, discover that state of mind that leads to positive outcomes. You're able to create that mental calm state. You're able to create that physical relaxed state. And each one of those things, you can establish a point of reference with, so you can access those points of reference for physical relaxation, mental relaxation, or a specific mental state that leads to positive outcomes as you need it throughout the day. I think that's huge. For me, that's one of the most remarkable things that Silva trains you to do. But in the beginning, a lot of instructors don't know this or don't relay this information. I mean, the idea was for you to learn this information and then wean yourself off the process and just make it a way of thinking, believing, and behaving. Whereas you don't have to do 333, 222, 111. You know that inner state and how to get there. I can just simply close my eyes and tap that inner state. Now, the formal entry of 3-to-1 method or the 3 deep breath method or whatever it is that you utilize to get in there, it's good to practice that from time to time, because you simply strengthen the structure, and you're able to have a way of measuring your own personal evolution and growth when it comes to meditation and mental exercises. So it's good to practice it. I like to practice it at least once a day, because I'm able to really figure out, okay, can I go deeper than this? How do I go deeper and still stay alert? What do I need to do to? And so I do my own scientific and personal scientific investigation, basically, as to what works best with me. So anyways, so what is needed is to first deepen, and that's what you do in your training, and establish those points of reference or your markers. Then how to create them is just simply by becoming aware of that inner experience, especially when you have a positive outcome or a success, okay? Especially then. And then once you do mark it, and once you do have those experiences, then you have them, you need to practice them. You need to utilize them throughout the day, and remember that there's a better way of thinking all the time. Your body, brain, and mind, through the training that you take in Silva Life system, is already know how to enter those frequencies of the brain and those inner states. Just allow it to happen now. But what happens so much of the time is we get caught up. We get so caught up in just everyday life. And I understand that, because I mean, just last night, I walked into one of my daughter's room, Ileana. I think I've talked to her many times before, and she recently got married. She's a flamenco dancer. She and her husband are living in Spain at the moment, but we've been receiving a lot of their mail. Last week, we had loads of rain. Like, we rarely ever have that much rain. We had like maybe 8 to 10 inches of rain in this area where I live. And in the summers, I mean, the summers are so scorching hot that they literally dry up like our ceilings, not our ceilings, but our roofs, and they crack up. And since we get very little rain, we don't really know that there may be a problem with the roofing or the roof until it rains. And sure enough, boy, did it rain. So in her room, I was getting all the mail, which is interesting to note how these things happen. Like maybe 4 or 5 days ago, or 4 days ago, because I rarely go into that room because they don't live here anymore. The rooms are typically kept closed, and the only time they're being utilized is when we have guests over and they stay over to visit, from out of town. But we haven't had that many guests, and then we have a lot of rooms in the house, and that one is the last one to get utilized. But what happened last week, coincidentally, see, that's also a very cool thing that occurs more and more, and you become more aware of when you function this way, when you make Silva a lifestyle. Coincidentally, a boutique owner that I had gone to, whose boutique I had gone to, dropped off some clothing. And she was the original owner of the house I now live in. So when I asked her, I welcomed her in, I said, hey, would you by any chance want to come in and look at the house? Because she had not walked into the house in over 20 years. And so we've been here, we've been living here longer than they were living here. So she said, yeah, I'd love to, because we made a lot of changes, a lot of renovations and remodeled and things like that. So when she walked in, I showed her around the whole house, and I showed her the rooms that used to belong to her sons. She had 2 boys, I had 2 girls. And I opened Ileana's door and said, and this is Ileana's room. And she said, oh, this used to be, her son's room. And when we looked up, there was a leak of water coming down into the floor, into the room. And it was just, the floor was already getting a lot of water. So, okay, I took care of that. But closed the door again. And I told my husband, I said, Ileana's room has got a really bad leak. We need to make sure we check on that, and so on and so forth. So then last night, we've been collecting a pile of mail, since now they're living in Spain, and they moved their mailing to be dropped off into our home. So I said, I'm going to go put it in her room. So when I walked into her room, coincidentally, the ceiling in all one corner had caved in, collapsed, and there was like insulation everywhere. There was, pieces of ceiling all over the floor. And I'm saying these stories because when you tap into this lifestyle, you're going to experience more and more coincidences, and you're going to recognize life does happen. Challenges do happen. You can get caught up in this, but then you can also always remember the first thing I thought about, what a great 2 coincidences that I had. One, that the previous owner came in, I showed her the house, which she's never come in 20 plus years. And 2, that I had mail that I wanted to take into her room just to store it there for when they return. And having these experiences allowed me to see the problem that we're having, which we're now fixing today. So life does happen. Life happens. And yet in the midst of life happening, we need to always remind ourselves that you have already learned a way of thinking, believing, behaving, a way of being that's already embedded in you. You just need to remind yourself it's there and put it to practice, put it to use. And when you do that, you're going to get a lot of great other benefits, like the synchronicities, like coincidences happening in your life, like all these wonderful things that you then become more and more aware of. And okay, I think Gutham said that the sound comes in and goes. Well, okay, I'll hopefully everything will be all right. I'll get the mic a little closer to me, and hopefully you won't have a problem with that. Okay, but thank you for that. And so again, a lifestyle is going to be something that we can make a huge or have great benefits from. So coincidences and synchronicities are going to be byproducts of living the Silva lifestyle, or a lifestyle that incorporates a more upgraded way of thinking, believing, and behaving, and that you are able to tap in and out easily through the concept of telomine with your mental senses as well as your physical senses, because you've recognized those points of reference that you have established throughout your training and also when you do meditations. Now, there's no excuse why you can't meditate at least twice a day, at night and in the morning. We've talked about that before, because you need to go through alpha at night to get to deep sleep. So you might as well do it through meditation. This is usually when I am going to use my 3-2-1 method, a 10-1 countdown to go into this deep inner state. But in the morning, I'm already in that deep inner state because I'm waking up from alpha to get to beta. So I just keep my eyes closed. I'm in there. I take a deep breath and I just kind of deepen within, and I plan out my day and I imagine it flowing smoothly. And I do that for a few minutes and maybe energize my goals or zap my goals and then keep moving on. I had a question recently. I said, what do I mean by zap the goals? And really all I mean when I say zap your goals is basically for you to picture them already as achieved, and then maybe step into the image of the goal outcome and experience that you who has already achieved that outcome. So you're zapping it with more desire and belief and expectancy and gratitude, the coherent emotions of gratitude, appreciation, joy. And so all these subjective energies and coherent emotions strengthen or reinforce. They literally zap the outcome so that you with this energy and emotion to secure its manifestation. Okay, so that's what I mean by zap your outcome image or your target image or whatever it might be. So at nighttime, I do use the 3-1, 10-1 method to enter and deepen. And in the morning, I simply stay in that wonderful, relaxed state I'm already in, and then just take a deep breath and then plan out my day, zap my goals, and move on. Open my eyes, get out of bed, and go about my business. So, and throughout the day, you're going in and out, and in and out, and in and out, and in and out. I often ask people in my seminars, how many of you practice, once a month? And a lot of people hands will go up. And funny enough, I'll ask how many of you practice twice a month, and less hands will show up. I'm thinking like, a month, for heaven's sakes, people, come on. And then when I say how many practice every week, well, some hands will go up. How many practice every day? And maybe 1 or 2 hands might go up. And I know that if these people, once they know the new definition that dynamic meditation is anytime you internalize your focus with a purpose in mind, they'll begin to reflect on their day. And they say, you know what? I do that all the time. And I said, yes, you do. You actually do, because your body, brain, and mind already know where to go to get a better outcome. And instead of getting frantic, it's going to choose to calm down and say, gosh, what do I do with this problem here? What do I need to go? What do I need to do? Who do I need to call? Got it. Yes. And you pick up the phone and you follow through. So you're doing it more often than you realize, but you're doing it unconsciously. Maybe that's a way of stating it. So I want you to start as an assignment to start noticing how many times throughout the day you are already internalizing your focus with a purpose in mind. Everything outside you goes blank. And suddenly you're just inside your head and you're thinking, oh, whoa, now what am I going to do? Got it. Yes. And then you take action. That is practical meditation at its highest form. That is dynamic meditation. But you need to be more conscious of what you're doing. You need to be more mindful of what you're doing and how often you're doing it, and begin to take credit. So, yeah, I practice meditation every day, many times a day, in the most practical of ways. But see, that was my father's intention. He wanted you to transform that knowledge, or the knowledge of the Silva method, into your knowledge, into your way of thinking, believing, and behaving, and make it a lifestyle. That is probably one of the biggest things you can do for yourself, is to transform this information into a lifestyle. So I just, I want you to follow through with that assignment, and to be able to really recognize that you are already utilizing more of this information that you realize, and that it's not fully necessary for you to do a 3-1, 10-1 kind of formal meditation that lasts 30 minutes, unless you really want to enjoy that depth and or you want to reinforce the format, the structure, and really measure your own personal growth and evolution when it comes to your meditations, okay, or to your meditative practice. Now, along these lines, we're going to send out a notification that we are going to launch a brand new product called the Silva Lifestyle Interactive Course. Now, this particular course is going to launch on October the 1st, I believe. No, October the 10th. October the 10th. But you'll probably start receiving some kind of email over this particular new product. We worked on it a lot. You know, Irina, who some of you have already talked to and have had some interchanges with her. Irina and I have worked on it extensively. I've been putting together videos for a long time, going back several years now, but more recently I started to create some new videos and some new information and new exercises as well, some new exercises to put into the Silva Life Style interactive course. Now, I say it's interactive because you're going to get 20 days of daily guidance, which means that should be enough time for anyone to, with a commitment to make it work. Anyone with a commitment to live the lifestyle, that should be plenty of time to establish that new habit and to really a habit that becomes a lifestyle. And I think you're going to find it to be really beneficial because along with the 20 days of guidance, you're going to get 20 videos. You're going to get with a little keynote explanation, the keynote videos, you're going to get 20 meditations as well. And so you're going to get all the formula type techniques that you learn in Silva Life System, and you're going to be able to practice this and some extra information along the way. So although some of it may be a repeat of some of the information that you already have, the way it's structured is going to be great for anyone who is going to be a first-time learner of the Silva methodology or the Silva Life System, or someone who wants to reinforce it and establish the lifestyle. So just be on the lookout for that. It's called the Silva Lifestyle Interactive Course, and you'll be able to ask questions as you do, and as you can even right now, which nobody has asked any questions whatsoever. I hope it's because everything's so clear to you. So if you do have any questions, by all means, just do ask. But you'll be able to ask questions along the way where I can give you guidance, and I can answer some of your questions as you're practicing throughout the 20 days. And I just really want you to make this a lifestyle. I think that's where you're going to get the greatest benefit, not just learning something and then putting it up on a shelf to never be brought down again. We have a lot of, we say in the seminar business, we have a lot of seminar junkies. And they take every single seminar, but their life doesn't change because they get information, but it's all here. It's not applied. They don't own the information and make it theirs and apply it for all things in their life. And if you really want to walk your talk and really live congruently, we talk about congruency being really important, then you're going to walk your talk by practicing what you've learned and sticking to the program for the rest of your life, making it a way of thinking, a way of believing, a way of behaving, and applying these tools and being mindful of your experience as you're moving forward, of the points of reference, of the synchronicities and coincidences that happen in your life that guide your next step, and being very mindful of the feedback that you're experiencing because you're functioning in this more upgraded, more elevated manner that really leads to wonderful and positive outcomes. So there you go. So I'm here to help you every step of the way. My greatest goal is for you to succeed. More than anything else, your success means everything to me. And I really want you to have the life that you've always dreamed of, the life that you deserve, the life that's your birthright to have and to live and to experience, a life that's filled with health, happiness, love, with abundance, with everything you've ever dreamed and desired. It's yours, but it takes a way of thinking, a way of believing, and a way of living that is going to be positive, resourceful, and delivers results. You've got it in you already. And if you need more help, then the Silva Lifestyle Interactive Program is going to be perfect for you. Okay, and if not, just practice your assignment, be mindful of your experience, and just be more aware of the many times that you are already internalizing your focus with a purpose in mind. All right. So if you have anything, my friends, that I can help you with anytime in the future, drop me a line. Guess what? I'm here answering customer support. Maybe you noticed that I was a little bit late on answering some of your questions because I was learning how to do it. But I told Irina, I really want to do this myself. I want to be the one to answer the questions that come up in customer support information, or when people say on info@laurasilvaquesada.com, I want to be the one to connect with you. I want to do this. And so I'm the one doing it. Have you noticed that I'm signing my name at the end of your emails? Because it's me answering them. And I know I tend to be really generous as well, because it really bothers me when someone says, I'm with this, I'm not sure about that. And I'll say, well, here's a meditation for you, or here's, whatever. So just telling you that if you have anything that you need from me, I'm here. And I'm here to answer your questions. And I'm here to support you along the way. And I want to be that person that is going to be witness to your great success. All right, guys, if there's nothing else I can do for you, then do your assignment, practice on, and let me know what you need. And I'm here to serve you. All right, guys, talk to you soon. Bye.